This is my Yamaha TW200 rear monoshock assembly. I wanted to adjust it. Now, if you do as I did and get hurt, that's on you, okay? This is not the professional way of doing it. This is just how I did it. Use a car spring compressor. That's what I did. And I compressed it. The two hooks up here, one hook down here, and I compressed it as much as I could. And then, well, not as much as I could, as much as I needed to, I should say. Now, you don't want it biting into the shock, so I stayed on the plastic. I realize that's less bite, but you know what? It's got a pretty good bite with this particular spring compressor, so I'm not worried about it. But the other thing, too, is that you don't want it biting into your shock. I mean, you're going to mar your shock at the very least, but it's going to be harder to adjust, because when I compressed this, the whole spring assembly stayed to the bottom of the shock. I don't want that, because that's where I'm trying to work. What you want is everything pushed up to where you would normally take it apart, right? Like over here, this spot here, this is how usually you compress the spring and you pop this out in the washers, whatever, and you could take the spring off this end once you've removed that. But you don't need to take it apart. So what I did was I held onto this and I tapped it, not even hard, just like not hard at all. And the whole thing, the spring assembly slid up to the top of the shock where I needed it so I could get access to the part I actually want to work on. Okay, so what you're going to find is you pull this up, it's adjusted to the center right here, right? So I used my hook tool and I popped it up to the top one. This is super flimsy. It's easy to work with because it's such a cheap piece of crap wire, which makes me nervous almost. But anyways, so you can either make it a little tiny bit softer, you can leave it factory, or you can make it tighter, right? And I'm noticing that you can make it more tight than you can make it softer, right? Like there's almost no adjustment. Softer is like almost nothing. There's like 3 times as much distance to this tighter, which is nice because it bottoms out a lot. Now before you relieve the spring pressure, make sure you got the spring clip in properly. And then push this. See, you don't want it so that it's hooking at all. This metal collar here, it needs to cover that spring all the way around to make sure it's in good. Because that soft piece of wire, if it's not in properly, the whole thing's going to shoot off the bottom. And if you're real unlucky, you'll be riding when it happens. So make sure that's all the way down. Then just loosen this off and you're done. Put your shock back together. Anyways, so that for this style of shock, if this is what you have, if you don't have the one that you just twist, which was nice and easy, if you have this style, this is how you adjust it.